Welcome back to my channel. Bago tayo magsimula, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.
Grade 6 SLEM number 6, week 2 for second quarter. Finding a missing term in a direct proportion and solve problems involving direct proportion. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to learn on how to find a missing term in a direct proportion and also solve problems involving proportion. In this lesson, you will be able to find the missing term in a direct proportion. Let us have this problem as an example. Ali is a mountaineer. He can climb 35 kilometers in 4 days in the slope of Mount Pamitinan. How many days will it take Ali to climb 350 kilometers? As you can see in the problem, it took 4 days for Ali to climb 35 kilometers. But the number of kilometers increased 10 times. It became 350 kilometers. So we are expecting that the number of days will also increase. Let us answer first these questions. What is asked in the problem? Number of days Ali will take to climb 350 kilometers. So we are looking for the number of days. Number 2, what are the given facts? 35 kilometers, 4 days, and 350 kilometers. Let us solve this problem by letting n be the number of days for Ali to climb 350 kilometers. We will now form a ratio and proportion using fraction form. As the given implied, we have distance traveled. The first distance traveled mentioned is 35 kilometers. And the second distance traveled mentioned is 350. And let us put the number of days below. The first number of days mentioned are 4. And the second number of days mentioned is none. So let n be the number of that days. We now have the proportion. 35 is to 4 is equals to 350 is to n. Let us look for the missing days. First, we are going to cross multiply, meaning you are going to multiply 35 to n. 35 times n is equals to 35n. Then you are going to multiply 4 by 350. 4 times 350 is 1,400. So we now have 35n is equals to 1,400. But we are looking only for n. We need to eliminate 35 by dividing both n by 35. So just cancel out both 35. That will leave n alone. And then divide 1,400 by 35. That will give us the answer 40. Meaning n is equals to 40. Therefore, it will take 40 days for Ali to climb 350 kilometers. Let us have another example, but let us take note of this. In a direct proportion, as one quantity increases, the other quantity increases too, at the same rate and vice versa. Just like in the problem, the number of kilometers increases So, the number of days increases too. Another example. Eliza is using a recipe for corned beef that calls for 500 grams of ground beef for 5 servings. If she wants to make enough for 8 servings, how much ground beef should she use? So in this problem, number of servings increases. Therefore, the grams of ground beef should also increase. What is asked in the problem? Number of grams Eliza should use for 8 servings. What are the given facts? 500 grams of corned beef, 5 servings, and 8 servings. Let us solve for the missing gram of corned beef. Let n be the amount of corned beef. Again, we will form a proportion using fraction form. We have the amount of corned beef. The first amount of corned beef mentioned is 500 grams. And the second amount of corned beef mentioned, there is no second amount of corned beef mentioned because we are looking for that. So, let that number be n. And then the servings, the first servings mentioned is 5, and the second servings mentioned is 8. We now have the proportion. 500 is to 5 is equals to n is to 8. Let us now solve for the n. Again, we will do a cross multiplication. 500 times 8 is equals to 4,000. 5 times n is 5n. We now have 4,000 is equals to 5n. But we need n alone. So we need to divide both by 5. Just cancel out those two 5s. That will leave letter n alone. And then 4,000 divided by 5. That is equals to 800. Meaning, 800 is equals to n. Therefore, Eliza will use 800 grams of corned beef for 8 servings.